Welcome, AI curious folk, to AI Ramblings Daily Podcast, episode 101. It's Friday. I'm Michael Parekh, your human AI guide. A lot, as usual, going on into a special weekend. Let's get started. Today's theme is the current White House ad hoc AI policy and drama, shifting around post Anthropic's the Blip 2.0, what I've been calling the Blip 2.0, just similar to the 3+ year-old Blip 1.0, when OpenAI's then nonprofit board fired and then rehired founder CEO Sam Altman over a weekend. Well, this Blip 2.0, which is the US government last Friday firing Anthropic's latest and greatest Mythos and Fable 5 models around the world, take it off under export control rules. That was the Blip 2.0. And unlike the Blip 1.0, it didn't last for a few days, but so far a week. Maybe by the time you see this episode, it's resolved. They've amended some of the restrictions, and there is a more robust policy around what the US wants, what it wants out of its AI policies going forward. But for now, the Blip 2.0 is in force. Only Anthropic's 4.8 Opus Claude models are available. And of course, as I've said before, OpenAI, Google, everybody else, Meta, Elon Musk with a $3+ trillion SpaceX fortune behind him, are all ramping to build the next superscale AI models that are 10 trillion parameters and above, far beyond the 1.5, 2 trillion parameter models of today. So in theory, they will have the same cybersecurity risks, jailbreak opportunities, etc., that the administration currently is so fixated on. And this has all gone on at least after the recent departure of the AI Czar David Sacks, who had VC background and was the tech voice in the White House, and Sriram Krishnan, who is also a former VC from A16Z. Both have recently departed. So as a result, the White House currently has a little bit of a hands-off, on-the-fly, and hands-on approach to AI. And I'll talk a lot about that in today's takes. And what does it mean for the US versus China, US versus global opportunities around three events as usual and my takes. First, let's talk about the White House pendulum swings in AI governance strategy. And here, as I said, after the departures of the two tech AI czars, David Sacks and Sriram Krishnan, the White House is showing basically an ad hoc, on-the-fly set of vibes, changing dynamics of their AI policies, everything from what to think about Anthropic's latest models after a call from Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a subsequent event that I'm going to discuss. And then it has broader implications, U.S. immigration policies that impact the tech industry's ability to hire the best AI talent, tech talent from around the world. Half of the world's AI talent and the market is in China, as I've said, and that is a very key point. NVIDIA's founder CEO, Jensen Huang, born in Taiwan. The two CEOs of two of the biggest tech companies in the US, Microsoft and Google, from India. Anyway, so we know all of that, but there are broader issues here. The US is also considering a sovereign wealth fund vehicle influenced a little bit by Sam Altman from OpenAI, dropping a word in his ear saying, hey, maybe the US should take stakes in all of these companies. And the transaction tendencies of the current president basically says, oh, yeah, it lights up. Never mind that, ironically, this mimics communist China's otherwise soundly criticized strategy of taking golden shares, control shares, in most of the leading companies in China, tech, AI, and otherwise. And so in many ways, we are emulating the policies of our so-called adversary while trying to protect U.S. policies and interests from a societal point of view. There's, again, a number of articles on all of this, which I'll have in the show notes for detailed reading this weekend if you'd like. And so I would highlight that as my first take on the first event. The second event is some details are emerging about what the administration seems to want from Anthropic on its next generation AI models, which is essentially 100% guarantee that these models cannot be jailbroken. And if anyone understands anything about technology in general, software last 50 years, 70 years, and specifically AI technologies, which are based on probabilistic models, not on deterministic models, all the tech experts, not just yours truly, saying this, that is near on impossible. There's no way to guarantee no jailbreaking. Almost anything on planet Earth, technology-wise, can be jailbroken. So there are no guarantees. It's like wishing for Santa Claus when there is none. And so there is a fundamental disconnect between the technical realities of AI technologies, how it's being innovated on, versus the policy level understanding of these models. And so there is a big, what I would call in my former job, bid-ask spread in terms of what's wished for, what's asked for. And that is a widening gap. And it's also symptomatic of something that was pointed out by one of my two favorite books for this year, Breakneck by Dan Wang, and I'll have a link in the show notes. He pointed out that China is run by engineers and technocrats top down, and the US is run by politicians and lawyers top down. And that is showing up here very clearly in terms of what the senior policy folks seem to want from the AI industry and what can actually be delivered technically under not just today's technology, but the technology possibilities going forward. So I wanted to highlight that again, a lot more detail, technical and otherwise, if you want more data behind these general statements that I'm making. The third event I want to talk about is a broad question. Does Amazon like OpenAI more than Anthropic? Recognize that Amazon was an early investor in Anthropic, over $13 billion. They now potentially have a $50 billion investment in OpenAI coming up. So they're vested in both. And this comes up because of the conspiracy theories around and questions around, the Anthropic Blip 2.0 being triggered by apparently a conversation between Amazon CEO Andy Jassy and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent last Thursday or Friday about the jailbreak concerns. And there were reports prior to this that both Amazon and Anthropic senior tech folks were working around these jailbreak concerns, and they seem to be matter of course, not earth-shattering concerns. But that conversation apparently led to the 90-minute take it off the internet threat under export control rules to Anthropic last Friday evening. And that's what led to the turning off of the switch. And as a result, the world does not have those models, and we don't have a resolution, not just for models from Anthropic, but as I said, everyone else, and OpenAI, Google, etc., will have comparable models soon. So the US needs a policy that covers all of it, not just an ad hoc response to Anthropic's models. But the Amazon story then it took some additional wrinkles. There was a report in Variety that Amazon apparently, with their MGM studio, is pulling a almost finished movie on Sam Altman, presumably one that Sam Altman didn't like, and is going to shop that movie away. Again, the reasoning being they're trying to appeal to the administration, they're trying to appeal to Amazon, to OpenAI versus Anthropic, etc., even though they're equity partners in both, and even though its Anthropic stake alone would be valued at hundreds of billions of dollars today. But this is not about money. This is about business interests and incentives and orientations and inclinations. Recognize that Amazon also had a little bit of a conspiracy theory shade thrown out at it when it invested at least $75 million in a documentary movie for Melania earlier this year. And again, this is despite founders, the ex-CEO Jeff Bezos saying, no, that had nothing to do with politics. Yeah, so that is the third event. And again, my take is that the anecdotal evidence around this stuff is building, and we'll see ultimately these people will have to talk about their motives and so on for the history books, and we will see how this all shapes out, rolls out in Blip 2.0 and otherwise. My overall take on all of this is it's disconcerting to read these reports on how the Anthropic shutdown was triggered by a general high-level conversation by the senior-most executives of Amazon and the Treasury, when neither of them is steeped in the technical realities of these models, the true technical issues, what is fixable, what is not, etc. Not to mention the one-sided anti-anthropic views of the Department of Defense under Hegseth, who has just gone after Anthropic for anti-woke and other policy issues. Again, very ad hoc, and I would almost say childlike. Then the other issues, again, have to do with the reality that OpenAI, Google, everybody is racing toward AI models that can do all of this and more, not just Mythos and Fable, but far more. The 10 trillion parameter is not a threshold that's mounted in concrete up front. It's just a line, a marker, and we will blow beyond it as we evolve AI technologies. And yes, there may be risks to all of this, but there are lots of ways that society, governments can figure out how to address risk. We've done it for everything, from nuclear technologies to biological technologies to any host of technologies around the world that all have dual uses, from the beginnings of the invention of the fire. And this is, again, no different. And this is all especially important, especially if our true motivations are the geopolitical contest in the so-called AI space race with China. Because all of this, people in China ought to be laughing their heads off that we are just continuing to shoot ourselves in the foot and the other foot and every toe, etc. And it just continues relative to what they are focused on and what we are focused on. So that is the kind of reality of the Blip 2.0 going into its second week next week. If this continues through the weekend, we will see if this is modified before then. Could go either way, we don't know. And that also takes us to the Gadget AI section of today's episode. And today, because it's Father's Day on Sunday, I thought we'd focus on Gadget AI ideas for Father's Day. I know it's right around the corner, but today's show is today's show. The Verge had a pretty good Father's Day gift guide, and I'll have that in the show notes for you to look at. Of those, I've picked 5 of them that are my favorites, things I own personally and I like and I use, and are kind of cool, from some of the newest things to some things that I've used for a while. And in no particular order, I'll just highlight them. There's a Google $100 Fitbit device without a display that basically, with an app, does all kinds of cool things to measure your health. Obviously, the Apple Watch, which is my preferred device, does all of that, but it costs more. Second thing is a Clicks Power Keys. It's a MagSafe powered BlackBerry style keyboard only that you can clip on almost any phone and essentially have physical keys. Again, this is for the retro people who are BlackBerry addicts who now want similar physical keys for presumably less mistakes when you're typing on real keys rather than glass keys. And so the Clicks keyboard, again, $99 item, would be my item of choice. I just got mine and I kind of like it a lot. Third is an Anker laptop power bank. It's a big, bulky, not bulky, but powerful power bank that can power a couple of phones, laptops, etc. $120. You can get probably good discounts on it, even under current supply constraints and prices. So that's my item number 3. Item number 4 is a little bag, a flight sling bag, where you can have all your gadgets on a plane. It's by Alpaca, one of my favorite bag manufacturers. I'm a bag nerd, by the way, in case you're interested. Own almost every bag under the sun. But this thing is $49, very small, compact. It takes your key things, and a great thing to travel with. And number 5 is the Amazon Kindle Scribe. These are the slightly bigger models. They come in 3 different models. There's 2 black and white ones with front lights and no front lights, and you can read your Kindle books. It also has a pen where you can write on it and have infinite notebooks, essentially. One of my favorite devices over the last couple of years. Amazon just came out with 3 new models. Again, 2 black and white ones, one with a front light starting at about $430 to $500. And then there is a color one, which I also like a lot for comics and other books and things and PDFs in color. And that also has a pen, more expensive, about $600 plus. These are my favorite devices, again, on the higher end of the price spectrum of the various things. I use them all a lot. And very highly recommended, and especially if you're in the Kindle ecosystem of books, where I have thousands of books on these things. And so these are delightful things every time you use them. So those would be my picks for these Father's Day gifts. They all have AI tinges because they allow you to use and power devices that increasingly are AI enabled, thus Gadget AI. So hopefully you find them interesting. Question time. What is my favorite and most used of these five is one question that came up. And I would say the Anchor Power Bank. Recognize that, again, we all carry around all kinds of devices when we travel, phones, smartphones, laptops, etc. The one I recommended can power both those plus an Apple Watch and a Kindle or whatever. But the other thing is there's a regulatory thing going on. Of course, there is. Airlines are increasingly clamping down on the number of power banks you can carry. Increasingly, you are not allowed to carry more than two. Number of airlines have gone down to one. So if you're just down to one, then the Anchor one I recommended has got enough capacity, over 20,000 milliamps, so you can do 2 or 3 devices. It also comes with a built-in cord, and it's relatively compact. So I would, if you could just travel with one, that would be my one pick. And again, the reason is just this arbitrary restriction in airlines, domestic and international, in terms of the number of power banks you can travel with on a plane. Second is, what is my biggest wish for improvement in the gadgets that we have that I've recommended? And this is, again, but for someone who uses the Apple Watch for health and everything else, I like the Google Fitbit Air, but I would love for it to have a little clock or a watch. It's one of the reasons why I use a similarly priced gizmo. It's also health band from Xiaomi from China, and it has a beautiful OLED small display for a watch. So again, if you're going to have your wrist real estate taken by a gizmo, natural habit that everyone has is that's where you glance for the time, and of course you also have your smartphone, but to have it on your wrist is a useful thing. So that'd be my wish for feature. Today's AI are reset to zero. I just want to highlight OpenAI and Anthropic are accelerating down the road of enterprise sales against Microsoft, Salesforce, and everybody else. And they're beefing up their professional sales forces. And this is an important trend. It accelerates their path to gathering tens of billions in revenues ahead of their mega AI IPOs. And that is an important trend to notice. And that's what I write about today. And then, of course, for this weekend, look out for the Saturday weekly roundup and Sunday's bigger picture. I want to, of course, wish you all a wonderful weekend and a happy Father's Day to all. Thanks for joining us today, AI Curious folk. Stay tuned.